Hello, welcome back. In the last video, we started our bugs game and laid the basic foundation such as creating bug clones and programming the cat sprite to move left and right to dodge them. In this video, we are going to take things further. We will add collision detection, a scoring system, and make the game more difficult by increasing the number of clones as the player's score goes up. We are even going to program the bugs to chase the player so things get more interesting. And all of this sound very interesting, so let's dive in right away. Alright, so let's get started. And what we are going to do this is that we are going to implement the score system first and then make the game more difficult, and lastly add collision detection. Let's go ahead and add the score system. To add the score system, we need to create a variable. We are going to click on make a variable and call our variable score. We are going to make it available for all sprites. Now that we have this variable created, the next thing we need to do is to change the variable by 1 before deleting a clone. So I'm going to drag this change my variable block by 1 and change my variable right here to score. So let's start the game and see if this works. So we can see it's working. So I'm going to stop this. Now the next thing we need to do is to work on the difficulty. There are two things we need to do to work on the difficulty. First, we want to make sure that the number of bugs increase as the user scores increase. To do that, we have to reduce 1 second here. So we are saying create a clone of myself every 1 second. We now have to reduce it by, let's say, 0.1 because we don't want to reduce it by 1 because it will go to 0 seconds immediately and just have all the bugs coming in. To do that, we are going to create a variable so that this will not be static, not going to just remain there. We want it to be changing, so we can create a variable that we can change. Let's go ahead and create a variable, and let's call the variable span time. So the word span simply means the rate at which something reproduces. So that's why we're using the word span for this variable. So we are going to make it available for all sprites also and click OK. So now instead of having 1 here, let's put span time there. So we're going to drag in span time and put it there. Now what we need to do is to set span time to 1 by default. So I'm going to say set span time to 1 and let's just click on it and if we set it to 1, we have to change 0 to 1. If I click on the block here, we start dragging it in, automatically send span time to 1. Now for the reduction of the span time, there are various ways you can approach this, but the way I'm going to approach this is that I'm going to minus 0.1 from the span time for every 50 score. So if the user gets to 50, we are going to minus 0.1 from the span time, and when it gets to 100, we are going to minus 0.1 from the span time. So we're counting by 50. Let's go ahead and do that. To do that, I'm going to go to event and drag in another when flag click. I'm going to make the stage small so that we can have space. I'm going to drag this here, and then I'm going to bring in a forever loop. Now we are going to wait until score mode 50 is equals to 0, and then we are going to write an if statement that says if score is greater than 0, then we want to change the span time by -1, and then wait until score mode 50 is no longer 0 and then go back to the top. I'm going to write this logic. After writing it, we are going to have a perfect understanding of what I'm saying. Let's go to wait until and let's drag it in. Then we need to go to operator. Let's go to operator and quickly prepare this. We are going to take the equal to operator, and then we are going to just drag this in the wrong place. So I'm going to stop this. We're going to take the equal to operator and then look for the modulus operator, which is right here, and let's put it inside the first circle inside this operator. And then let's go to variable, and we're going to say score. I'm going to drag this back. Score mode 50 is equal to 0. I'm going to duplicate this block because we are going to need it again. I'll get this condition here, and I'm going to put it right into this condition space for wait until. Now below that, I'm going to go to control. Let's take an if statement. I'll put the if statement at the bottom of the wait until block, and then the condition is going to be if score is greater than 0, because score has to be greater than 0 for the condition to be true. We are going to go to operator and drag the greater than operator. And what do we want? We want to compare score. We are going to take score and say if score greater than 0, then we want to change span time by -1. Let's go to change my variable by 1, and let's change it to span time, and I'm going to say -0.1, not -1. I just said -1. Okay, and then the next thing we want to do is to say, after changing by -1, wait until score mode 50 is no longer 0, so it's going to stay there, and that condition is now going to be false when score mode 50 is now 0, and it's going to go back to the top and repeat the process. So we are going to go to control and take wait until and place it under the change span time, and we are going to go to operator, and we need the not operator because now we want it not to be true. So it's going to say when wait until score mode 50 is true, then it's going to go to the if statement, check if score is greater than 0, and change the span time, and then wait, because let's say we get to 50 and the next number is 51 for the score. It's now going to wait until it gets to 100, and this wait until after the change span time is now going to be false, and it goes back to the top, right, and runs the if statement again and change the span time. Good. Let's test if this will work. I'm going to just try to reset everything manually. Let's change score to 0. And then let's maximize the stage, and I'm going to play the game. I'm going to play until I get to 50. I have to get to 50 fast to test if this is working. If it's 20, just from a couple of minutes. And I'm going to try not to fail before then, so we can see that this is working before moving on. We're almost at 50. Yeah, so it works. Immediately we got to 50, 1 tends to 0.9, and if we want to wait till we get to 100, 0.9 is now going to be 0.8, so it's going to continue reducing by -1. Okay, so I'm going to stop this now that we have confirmed that this is working. Now the next thing we want to implement is that we want to make the bugs chase the cat. That's what we want to do. We want to make the bugs chase the cat. So to do that, we have to work on this logic under the move bugs function. So I'm going to again minimize the stage. Now what do we want to do? Think of it. We want the bugs to point and move in the direction of the cat, and we have several blocks in crash that can handle that for us. Let's go to motion. So if we go to motion, we have the point towards, and we can change point towards to point towards a particular sprite here. I'm going to drag this in because we are definitely going to need it. And then we also want it to move, so we are going to use move 10 step, because we don't just want it to move in the y-axis or in the x-axis. We want it to move in both axes at the same time. So if you notice, when I clicked on this pointing direction, you can now see that the bug is pointing to the direction of the cat. Now we need an if statement to regulate this, some kind of condition to regulate this, because we don't want it to chase the cat to the end. We want it to chase it for some time and then just stop. If we chase it to the end, there's no way we are going to enjoy this game. So I'm going to go to control, and this time the condition we are going to use is this loop with a condition that says repeat until, and we are going to give it a condition. We are going to say something like repeat until y position is, let's say, minus 60. Minus 60 is a good place to just stop chasing the cat. So I'm going to put this repeat until on top of the if statement. So we want it on top of the if statement. So I'm going to drag the if statement out first, place it under repeat until, and then place everything inside. Now we are going to point in direction of cat 2, and then let's do move 5 steps since we are changing y by minus 5. I think 10 steps is too fast, so we are going to do 5 steps. And then for the condition, we are going to say repeat until y position is now less than minus 60. We are going to go to operator and take the less than operator, and let's change this to minus 60. And then we are going to go to variables, not variables now, we can find that in motion. We'll go to motion and take the y position right here and place it inside that space. So now let's see if that will work. So I'm going to now expand the stage and let's test this feature. I'm going to manually reset everything again. We are going to create a reset feature by the time we're adding collision detection. I'm going to set score to 0 and also want set pound time to 1, and then let's play and see. So they are all coming towards the cat, but if you notice, we are not failing because we have not added collision detection. Collision detection is how we determine if we are failed or not. So I'm going to stop this. Something else I want to do is that I would like to reduce the size of the bug because I feel it's too big. I'm going to reduce the size of the bugs to, let's say, 30. I think 30 is a great size. I'm also going to reduce the size of the cat to, let's say, 50. And not just that, I'm going to remove the tail, because sometimes it might touch the tail of the cat. You can leave it if you want. I'm just going to remove it. It's my preference. So I'll remove it. And now let's try this out. I'm not going to reset anything. We're just going to try it the way it is, and let's see. So if I click on flag, you see this is now more better now that we have it smaller. But you notice that they are not storing there. Some of them are not storing at the bottom. That's because we need to make one more change. I'm going to stop this, and I think I'm going to move the cat down a bit, and then to make sure that they are not storing here, because the size is now much smaller, we are going to reduce minus 180 to minus 175, because we have altered the size of the bugs to this condition that says y position is less than minus 180 before is no longer true. I'm going to click on flag, and then let's see if it works perfectly. So it's working perfectly now. And I think it makes the game looks more realistic and more interactive to play. So now the last thing we are going to do is to add collision detection and reset the game anytime the player fails. So I'm going to stop this. I'm already excited about this game. So we are going to go to the cart to achieve this. The reason why I'm adding collision detection to the cart is because we are using clone right here. So if we add it to the cart and say if the cart is touching the bug, it's going to apply to both the clone created from the master sprite bug. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to take an if statement, go to control and say if you can place under here, and let's go to same thing, touching, and then we want to choose ladybug 1. So if it's touching ladybug 1, what do we want to do? We want to stop all scripts. So we are going to go to control and say stop all. We want to stop all the code from running. So now let's try it and see if that works. They're deliberately going to leave it to touch and you see it works. But also we want to reset the game, and a lot of the reset has to go on right here on the ladybug sprite. So how are we going to do that? If you remember in one of our lessons, we need to broadcast an event. Let's go to event and we are going to say broadcast message, and let's broadcast game over. Yeah, I think it makes sense to call this game over, even though we're not going to display anything for now. So game over, and then broadcast it before stopping all scripts. So when I receive game over, what do we want to do? We want to set bounce time to 1, we want to set score to 0, and we want to set the Y position of the bug to 180. We are going to drag in when I receive game over. When I receive game over, we are going to say set, let's go to variable and say set score to 0, set pound time to 1, and then we are going to set the Y position to 180, so the bug goes back to the top. The bug master sprite goes back to the top. We are going to say 180 right here. So now I'm just going to reset everything by clicking on this block, so it runs all this code under it. Now let's play and see how it works. This is so interesting. I'm going to fail. So immediately I failed, it reset the game and set the bug position back to the top. Alright guys, so we have come to the end of part 2 of our game, and we have successfully made it more interesting. But before we wrap up this project, there's one missing piece. In the next video, we are going to be talking about sound, so we can make our project feel like a real game. Before you go, remember to subscribe, like, turn on your notifications so you don't miss any video, and also leave a comment if you have any questions, and I will answer them as soon as I can. See you in the next video.